Okay, so again, good morning and welcome to the Youth Forum on Disaster Risk Reduction and Climate Crisis 2021, an initiative to engage the youth in DRR conversation for a resilient India. I am Nitesh Berole. I am glad to be your host. We have friends from all over India, and also we have some friends joining us today from Thailand, Nepal, Nigeria, and Egypt. Keeping in mind of philosophy of Indian philosophy, Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, the world is our family. I welcome you all. Dr. P.K. Mishra rightly said, in our endeavor to build resilience, the younger generation not only needs to participate, but lead. This is the whole purpose of organizing this event. To begin with the webinar, I invite Ms. Jacqueline Lippi, Regional Focal Point Asia Pacific for DRR Working Group UNMGCY. She has completed her Master's in Disaster Management for Tata Institute of Social Sciences. Her experience extended from research, policymaking and advocacy, emergency response and relief, recovery planning, and capacity building. Over to you, Ms. Jacqueline.
Thank you so much, Nitesh. A very good morning to everyone. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. And a big thank you to Nitesh and Anish, the driving force of today's Youth Forum. Uh, Firstly, respected Navneet sir, Sheetal ma'am, and Shushma ma'am, we welcome you all and thank you so much for joining us for this youth forum. And also, I would like to welcome the youth speakers, which will be very enlightened for all of us hearing your experiences and the marvelous work that you have been working with disasters and climate actions. So today's forum focus on the children and youth. So South Asia has the population of youth population which is below 24, and by 2024 South Asia will contribute to the major youth workforce. So coming to India, so according to our 2021 census, so I'm giving you a little bit of statistics. So our 1/5 of the population is youth, so which make us a more powerful youth nation to work towards disaster risk reduction and climate actions. But this would be more fruitful when we engage the children and youth and emergency response, creative and innovative initiatives, involve them in policy processes, in integrated actions. It's also important to create this platform so that there is a dialogue between the practitioners, policymakers, and youth so that we can feed into the high level forums and push for more integrated actions and initiatives. So, with this, I welcome you all once again, and I'm very excited and looking forward to hear the awesome work that everyone is doing in disaster and climate action. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Jacqueline, for explaining the objective of this webinar very clearly. Moving on, I would now like to invite Mr. Navneet Yadav, Associate Director, Doers, to speak on the topic engaging children and youth in DRR and resilient building. He is leading Doers, a Shimla-based humanitarian organization working towards resilience and sustainability in the Himalayan region of India. He has 16 years of experience of dealing with issues pertaining to disaster risk management and climate change adaptation while serving renowned national and international organizations. He is a great teacher and trained thousands of students, teachers, professionals, and government officials, including me. I'm glad he's my mentor and I learned a lot from him. Over to you, sir. Thank you. Yes, sir, now you can try.
Yeah, can you hear me, Nitish?
Yes.
Hi, good morning, everyone. This is Navneet, and it's an honor to be here with this group. I would be quickly sharing my views on the topic which is assigned to me, which is how to engage youth in the processes related to DRR. Nitish, am I able to share my screen?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Just give me a second. Is it visible? Nitish, just confirm.
Yes, sir.
Perfect. Thank you. So everyone, especially the youth and children listening to this discussion, there are a few points that I've summed up because there's a sparsity of time. So what I would do, I would quickly run through some points that I just hope that all of you remember while you are building your careers as well as leading your lives in general. Uh, why do we need to discuss this topic called as uh, children and youth in DRR? So first of all, I believe that children and youth, they have a strong ability to act as catalysts for bringing positive changes in any sphere. And DRR, because it's related to our very own survival and well-being. So I believe that the young people, they act as catalysts. So whatever they learn at school, at outside in the outside world, they come back home and then they make their family members, their younger ones, even more aware about disaster risk and relevant aspects. Another thing is that young people are, in my own view and experience, I believe that younger people, they are more empathetic towards the vulnerable. So I don't expect people of my father's, my parents' age group to have that kind of burning desire to kind of serve the people who are more vulnerable, who are at the margins of the society. But younger people, they have this thing inbuilt. Third thing, I sense that younger people are far more creative, far more energetic, and they are innovative. So they can certainly come up with solutions that are required to build the capacities of vulnerable people, and so on we can reduce the risk of the society. And younger people, as I believe that they are also agents of change. You see, we do not talk in this term that we expect our government officials to bring that positive change in the society, although there are some people working in government sector as well as in different sectors. But like generally what happens, so you talk of any example from the world, whether it is Arab Spring, whether it is that mass movement in Hong Kong that led by this young guy called as Joshua. So I believe that younger people can motivate others, engage others in kind of joining a movement which is going to redefine the course of future. And the last point in this slide is younger people, as you know, like there are several international heroes, several national heroes who are there to defend our future. And I believe like my friends from Climate Reality project in India, they are also aware that there are so many people taking wonderful steps in terms of how to safeguard the planet, how to take steps with regard to say uh, defending the climate of this planet. So I believe that the younger people, they have all these traits and capacities. So this is why they make a perfect group to kind of address these challenges. And yeah, this is a picture from one of the training programs we organized in Himachal. And these are the younger people from a district called as Kullu in Himachal, and they are learning about the methods to micro map the critical facilities, because this is a very remote area. So we are engaging youth in the processes related to say a digitally empowered world, which is determined to address the risks. And now comes what youth and children can do in DRR. So I believe that younger people can become knowledge-backed role models. So it is not expected of average population that they use knowledge as a vehicle to transform themselves as better role model. Like people do study, but not people do read, but not in the sense of like developing themselves as a role model. So younger people, they have this inbuilt kind of you can say this is a trait, this is a strength that they have. And second thing is that younger people are good, like they are far better in terms of advocacy. Now, I know several campaigns with regard to climate change, with regard to disaster risk reduction in Himachal and outside Himachal, that younger people have actually changed the discourse of disaster risk in a particular region. So they have this important, and they can do it at any level, community level as well as city level. Third thing, I believe that younger people can align their careers with a purpose-driven life. What is a purpose-driven life? In my opinion, I believe purpose-driven life is not just about making good money. So like every single person who knows about doers and what we have been doing, so it requires a bit of sacrifice also. You must have read about the people who could have earned more, but they realize that like while making a good career is important, they can align it, they can align their careers with something bigger, something bigger than just making money. So another point is that younger people, they have I've been to different universities and colleges, and I realized that their quest to kind of understand things deeper is even better than their professors and lecturers. So this is just my own opinion, but they have a strong capacity to kind of contribute to research and analysis. And I'm referring particularly to risk analysis. And another thing, what youth can do, like with all the youth present here, they can certainly volunteer for safe learning facilities. This is a very important component. You see, like there are universities, colleges, and schools, and there are frameworks, existing frameworks, which provide a very good kind of framework to kind of safeguard these facilities before, during and after a disaster. So, for example, there is comprehensive school safety framework, which I believe like all the young people who are in schools or even in colleges, they can adopt this comprehensive school safety framework in their work. And this is one of the examples what doers in Himachal has been doing. We engage younger people in enhancing their preparedness. We ask them to kind of anticipate how climate is going to change in future and how important it is to build their own skills. And last slide in this context is how youth and children can contribute to DRR related processes. Yeah, this again sounds like a philosophical thing. But you see, unless you learn more, unless you read more, you won't be able to do better. This is my opinion, and this is something we believe strongly at Doers. So we need to learn more. There are case studies, there are fantastic documents. So for instance, I would like to cite, and if like after this discussion, you may like just search on internet, there is a fantastic guideline by United Nations Disaster Risk Reduction Office, UNDRR. It's called as Words into Action. So there's a specific guideline on how you can actually effectively engage in the domain of DRR. How can you change the discourse in this field? So learn more and do better. There are several guidelines to assist you. And another thing is that I've been hearing that there's a growing number of startups and social enterprises that are aimed at finding solutions to reduce vulnerabilities as well as building the capacities of people and societies. So this is another avenue So younger people who are about to start their startup ventures, I think that you see this as an opportunity. Like there are digital solutions, there are, like, for instance, there is Atma Connect. Atma Connect is from Indonesia. So people who are listening may later Google on what is Atma Connect and Atma Go. They have created an app in Indonesia which actually builds the overall resilience of the society. And the focal point of this process is just one app. And it's a fantastic process. And yeah, third thing is that at the moment, there's an absence of local coalitions for disaster resilience, even at the village level as well as cities level. So wherever you are, I think is important now. It's becoming even more important because every day we are hearing about a climate related disaster. So for instance, what happened in Uttarakhand in India a few days ago. So it's very important that younger people, they not only build, but also strengthen and lead the local coalitions for resilient communities. And it should be their role to make local communities aware how the greed of some people or some vested interests, how they are affecting the say welfare of their own children. And last thing is that we all must be ready to use social media meaningfully. Social media, I believe, has tremendous potential in taking your messages forward. So use hashtags properly, and there's a great power. And I believe that you do use social media, younger people, but there's even more important aspect to this, that you should analyze what time you should be posting in terms of reaching to more people. And there are several skills related to social media. So these are few things that I just hope, because we are running on a like very time constraint program. So this is another example of what I'm just sharing, that these people, they are interns and fellows from different parts of India. So, and including volunteers. So they come here to build their capacities, to understand what is exactly is community resilience and how we can build it in our respective regions. So it is very important that all of us invest, especially the youth, they invest their time and resources in understanding what is disaster resilience and how climate change is related to this. So with this, I just like leave the floor for discussion. If there are any questions, I would be happy to answer them. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. First of all, like it's a fantastic presentation. Why we need to include youth and children in DRR domain, and the way you explain why, what, and how. It's very insightful for all of us. And thank you very much. We will take questions at the end of all the presentation. And now we have with us Ms. Sheetal, Program Manager from the Climate Reality Project India. She has been working with teachers, youth, and school community members. She has organized various awareness campaigns and education programs with different themes related to climate action. She has also worked with International Union for Conservation of Nature and Delhi Pollution Control Committee in different capacities. Today, she is here to speak on the topic climate action, working with and for young people. Over to you, Ms. Sheetal.
Thank you, Nitish, for inviting me. I'm really honored to be part of this India Youth Forum on DRR and climate action. And it's so nice to see some friends from Climate Reality India already here. And I myself kind of belonging to the youth group. I'm really looking forward to hear from the young people, and listen to their ideas and views on climate action. But I have also prepared a small presentation. Let me just share my screen. Yeah. So, we all know that, climate change and disasters, they go hand in hand. And especially for, country like ours, India is highly vulnerable country to the climate change. And then we also have this long coastline of 7,500 kilometers, which make us highly vulnerable to sea level rise. And if you see, then two top cities, at risk from sea level rise are two major Indian cities, Kolkata and Mumbai. And then, we are seeing these super cyclones, being more frequent and will become more extreme due to climate change. Then we are seeing rainfalls are becoming, more erratic. And there is now a study says that, floods and extreme rainfall events now occur 4 times more than, which it was in 1980, not a long time ago. And then the other challenge we are facing is that glaciers are melting fast. And, this combined with extreme events and development in very eco-sensitive areas is leading to more disasters. And also, as Navneet said, we have seen just, few days back that what happened in our hills in Himalayas. So the point is that more extreme weather events in future are likely to increase the number and scale of disasters. And I want to highlight, so adaptation become equally important to the climate, with climate mitigation. And DRR provides the capacity for climate adaptation. But what I want to highlight today that, India is a young country, we know that, and we make around 65% of the population. And I personally believe that it will be us who will be highly impacted by these extreme events, as with these disasters, our education system gets disrupted, livelihood insecurities arises. And, I feel that this we have also learned from the pandemic itself, that, it's been almost 1 year that schools and colleges are not fully functional. There have been so many job losses. And in fact, the nature of jobs are changing as these complexities and disasters are increases. And it's us, like it's the young people who are entering the job forces. Therefore, I believe that, it will be the youth who will be one of the most benefited from the DRR or climate action, or whatever you want to put. So the first step for this is educating and sensitizing the youth on climate disasters, preparedness, and preventive measures. As Navneet has explained it very beautifully that, how, what, and why, we should include the youth. And again, just to highlight on the same point, as these challenges and as these disasters will rise, future generation will need different skill sets and competencies. We'll be needing competencies where, we can anticipate various scenarios. We need design system thinking skills. We will be needing the competencies to collaborate and work with the communities. And this has to start by, having DRR and climate education included right from school level to higher education, maybe in different forms. So just few things I want to highlight, that what we have been doing at Climate Reality India is that we at Climate Reality India, we are working with teachers. We are training teachers on climate change so that, these teachers can reach out to their student and work with the young minds so that they become well informed and active citizens. Then we are also working and involving schools and colleges to turn into green campuses so that students can learn about the solutions. They can learn about the climate solutions in their campuses itself. When they see, having panels in their schools, they learn, okay, this is the part of the solution, this is the part of the climate action. And these campuses, along with various awareness programs, they are implementing these green and climate friendly measures. Some of the other examples of youth engagement from Climate Reality India Hello, I think I got disconnected.
Yes,
I'm really
yes, Shikha.
sorry. Yes, my power went out and I was connected to Wi-Fi. So, is it okay if I share my screen again? I will not take maybe more than 5 minutes now. Yeah. So, I was saying that how we involved this young force in the mangrove tree plantation drive in Sundarbans. Then we also have, we have started 1 million fruit tree plantation in Odisha with marginalized families, who hit hardest by the cyclone Amphan. And again, I want to highlight that with youth energy can play a very important role, in such large drives out there. Then on my screen again, you can see the example that this is the college in rural Maharashtra, and we did our teachers training and green campus program there in 2018. And in 2019, they came back to us and they said that after the training program, we have started training our students in organic farming. And they have set up then organic shops where college students were employed. And for me, it was a fantastic example of building skills and preparing the students for greener jobs while they were studying. So another example, here is again a very young climate neutrality leader is or organizing these community awareness drives through marathons, cyclothons, and not just organizing this. These young people are now participating in community decision making process. Like, for example, on your screen you see this young climate neutrality leader. He's being part of the rainwater harvesting discussion process at panchayat level. It's a drought prone region in Maharashtra, and he's not only speaking about the importance of rainwater harvesting to these panchayat members, but also training himself in the whole process. Then we have been doing a lot of climate change awareness trainings at colleges and training young media students on climate change and climate actions. Then we have set up a climate change center at Sri University so that more youth can join the whole process. And then I always tell my fellow youth that educate yourself and then educate your community. That's the best way you can make a difference. And there are many more examples of youth being in action which make all of us hopeful. And all of these examples showcase that climate action needs youth participation. And it is very important for all other stakeholders to understand that we need to include the youth in the process. We just cannot work with them in the silo. So they have to be included. So that's my final point. And this is all from my side. And also I would like to take this opportunity that we at climate neutrality India, we invite everyone to join hands. We strongly believe in SDG 17, which is partnership. And you can always write to us to know more about the trainings and other programs which we have been doing and how we are involving youth by writing to us at india@climaterality.com. And yes, thank you, everyone. So these are my thoughts as a practitioner, but I'm really looking forward to learn more from the experts here and to listen the young voices. Thank you, everyone, and over to you, Nitish.
Thank you, Sheetal, for your words of wisdom. And the important point you raised is why we need to take collaborative actions to face this hidden crisis, which many are denying, and why we also need to include youth to have very micro local solutions we need to find. Thank you once again. Up next, we have Up next, I now invite Mr. Abhishek Kanodia, a PhD candidate from Asian Institute of Technology, Thailand. He will be speaking on the topic environmental sustainability for safer communities. His areas of research is urban waste management. He's actively engaged in promoting SDGs, mainly Goal 17, New Urban Agenda, Circular Economy Promotion and Execution. Over to you, Mr. Abhishek.
Hello, Nitish. Thank you. Am I audible to you?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Good morning, all of you. It's nice to see all of you having such a nice thoughts on youth involvement in disaster risk reduction and climate change. So I'm Abhishek. I'm basically an Indian studying PhD here at Asian Institute of Technology. My work domain focus on circular economy, industry 4.0 and waste management. But along with that, while studying here, since AIT has been the regional focus for the promotion of urban development, rural development, and the nearby ASEAN countries, they got a lot of input from AIT. So I got engaged with several seminars and personalities handling the issues of handling the regional issues. So now, continuing with this, while Ms. Sheetal had lastly talked about SDG 17. So yeah, that is something which I like to highlight today. So environment sustainability for safer community. This is what I have to deliver. So let's start with the MDGs, like Millennium Development Goals. Like at the early 2015, there was the MDGs, and in those 8 MDGs, the 8 MDGs which ensure about the environmental sustainability, it shows that the global community is seriously concerned about the environmental sustainability issues. Further, when they develop with the SDGs, like among 17 SDGs, there were 5 specific SDGs which connects with the environmental dimensions. And when I'm talking about the environmental dimension, it's been the natural environment I'm talking about. So clean water SDG 6, clean water sanitation SDG 7, affordable and clean energy SDG 13, climate action SDG 14, life below water, and SDG 15, life on land. So all these SDGs particularly focus on the environmental aspect and how these environmental things can be used, this frameworks of SDG can be used by the youth to reduce the risk associated with different communities. Okay, now talking about the ASEAN region here in Thailand and nearby Laos, Myanmar, youth are been involving in the projects. Like here, the water scarcity was never been the issue, but as the climate action takes place, people are getting more aware, and with that, they bring more inputs in their efforts, and in this way, the government is also bound to focus on these things. So, what I want to say that for the development of the region, there are 3 basic core points which any country or the region should focus. That is the investment in human capital, safety nets, and environmental sustainability. Okay, ensuring the environmental sustainability, it is a vital for all countries. Like it, what does it mean? It means like we are facing challenges from natural resource depletion, ecosystem degradation, pollution, climate change. So, if we sum it up, like natural resource depletion, ecosystem degradation, pollution, climate change, these are the points which need to be taken care at the priority. So, we can design the system which can improve the use of natural resources. Uh, we have got certainly SDGs, like these are the framework, and the tools like circular economy and what we industry 4.0. These can be a very helpful tools for the promotion of these environmental issues. Um, with this, I would like to say that everything has been connected with each other. We being living at different region, different uh, countries, still we are all connected. We connected by the natural environment thing. So we need to work on this thing. And youth being the most adaptive age group among the humans, which can quickly transform its practice, its promotions as per the requirement. So we should involve more and more youth for the help of environmental sustainability and to establish um, the the safer community. With this, I would like to conclude. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Abhishek, for your sharing and the point you shared about developing the region. And the main point is investing in human capitals. And to make us community safer, we need to invest in human resources, especially youth and children, to aware them and build their capacities. Thank you. Up next, we have Ms. Matrika, a PhD candidate from IIT Bombay, to speak on increasing youth and children participation in climate action. She is a trained climate reality leader. She is currently pursuing her PhD in climate studies. She works in the field of climate action and sustainable development. She is actively engaged in the advocacy of climate justice, particularly for the Himalayan region. Over to you, Ms. Matrika. Now you can.
Okay, thank you, Nitish. Good morning, good afternoon, wherever you're listening from. I'm joining you from Sikkim, a small Himalayan state in the eastern part of India. And thank you, Nitish, and thank you to the organizers, the Youth for Resilient Community and UNMGCY for giving me this opportunity to be a part of this panel, and I'm really honored. I'll be speaking on increasing the participation of youth and children in climate action. So this is where I start. The median age of the demographic of India is going to be 28 in the year 2022, which means that half of the population will be less than 28 years of age, and half of the population will be more than 28 years of age. When we talk about climate action, we need to realize that we are in here for the long haul, so we need to prepare. So here are a few recommendations that I would like to put forward to the panel. As a youth, speaking to the youth, and for the future of this planet and the future of humanity for that matter. I believe that the first step to climate action comes from awareness. That is where children and young students come in. It is imperative that we take this commitment to make climate education a part of school curricula very seriously. But when I say that climate education has to be a part of school curricula, I also want to stress on the fact that the issue of climate change and the issue of climate crisis is very serious and may cause a sense of helplessness and despondency among young children if not handled with sensitivity, especially among the young whose lives are just starting. Hence, there is a need that we approach climate change in an age-appropriate and a developmentally sensitive manner. Now, by doing so, we create a baseline for children, a baseline for kids, so that as they grow, they are capable of taking in more complex informations and ready to exercise their own voices when the need arises on the behalf of their own generation's future. Now, how can this be done? I recommend that this could be done, and this is something we as youth need to advocate more for, is through increased government support for education programs which are focused on sustainability and climate action. Second, can be by encouraging and empowering school systems to develop approaches such as focusing on the 3 Rs, plantation drives, etc., so that the children are actively engaged and start viewing the planet as something they value and cherish. We need to remember that when these children, and by children I mean all these children which are currently aged 5 to say 15-year-olds, when they become young adults themselves, we, and by we I mean those of us who are aged between 25 to say 35, we are going to be the grown-ups that they are going to look up to. So many of us will at that time be in decision-making positions, and we need to start taking that responsibility quite seriously. So my next points are for those of us who are currently directly or indirectly working on the area of climate change, or maybe want to. So I want to emphasize on three areas which I have termed as the three P's: prepare, perform, and persevere. Prepare. I resonate with what Mr. Navneet said, to learn more and do better. Or what Ms. Sheetal just said, to educate yourself. We need to educate ourselves about the dynamics and the systems at play when it comes to climate change. You see, climate change is a complex phenomenon, yes, but it is not that difficult to understand. But we, those of us who are actively advocating for climate justice, we need to prepare ourselves to add our voice to national and global conversations, to ensure that our voice is not just counted as noise. We need to make sure that we make meaningful conversations which are based on scientific facts and observations. We have to be informed, we have to be engaged and ready to lead whenever the time comes. Now, with the evidences of climate change being more visible than ever, many of us might think that we don't have much time to prepare. But lucky for us, there have been scientists and many leaders who have been working relentlessly to understand climate change, and we have the shoulders of these giants to stand on. The second P that I want to talk about is perform. Execute and implement whatever you have learned. Just awareness sometimes might not be enough. And as leaders or future leaders, we have to execute and perform, implement whatever we have learned wherever we are, doesn't matter. Yeah, climate change is a global phenomenon, but the impacts are felt at a very local level. We have to use our voice to amplify those voices whose stories are not being told yet. Observe what the approaches are being used by the locals, by indigenous communities. Share their stories of vulnerability, or maybe their stories of resilience if there is any. With the power of technology and social media, which our generation is most familiar with, we have the potential to reach out to masses. So if you can, try to be that bridge that connects the traditional knowledge and more modern knowledge, so that there can be tailor-made approaches for specific regions. We also need to empower local youths to be capable of dealing with climate change impacts and if disasters, if there are any. This could be done by capacity building programs and community engagement, which Mr. Navneet was just talking about. And while there are many of us who are actively engaged in advocacy, we can also encourage more youth to participate if we create a space for a greener economy, green jobs, and more opportunities in the development sector, and also creating a safe space for startups, for social ventures, and basically a safe space for coalition. The third P that I would want to talk about, and the final point here, is perseverance. We have to persevere. You see, we are already committed to a certain amount of climate change, whether we like it or not. So this journey is going to be long and it might not be easy. But what helps is knowing that we are not alone in this, that there are youth communities across the world who are fighting the same fight. So this movement can be made stronger through collaborations and through more collective work, which as youth we can take forward. But while doing all this, while we actively communicate, while we actively advocate, I would like to make my final point to not give hope. We have to remain hopeful, especially when we are communicating or talking with young children. We have to be empathetic, we have to be sensitive, and we have to, have put a brave and positive face forward. To end with, I would like to quote Michelle Obama here, who said, "We have to believe in the power of hope. Continue to work hard, believing in our cause, in our abilities, hoping that when people see us for who we really are, maybe, just maybe, they too will be inspired to rise to the best of their abilities, to rise to their best possible selves, and work, for in this case, for climate justice. Let us try to lead by example, dear friends. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Matrika, for your motivating words. As you are rightly said, youth are not only future, but we are also present. We have a mission to protect and hand over the planet to the next generation. And we also need to work on a 3 Ps which you suggested. Thank you. Moving on, now I invite Ms. Atisha Sood. She is a public health professional working as a research fellow at National Institute of Disaster Management, where she has helped in developing the National Health Adaptation Plan for disaster-related illness for the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare. Her areas of research interest are public health policy, disaster resilience, and climate change. She will be speaking on the topic, strengthening of disaster risk reduction by enhancing capacities of youth and children. Over to you, Ms. Atisha.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much, Nitish. I have big shoes to fill in following after these amazing speakers. As Nitish already mentioned, I am going to be speaking about strengthening disaster risk reduction by enhancing the capacity of youth and children. Talking about disaster risk reduction, I have to talk about the Sendai framework for disaster risk reduction first. The Sendai framework for disaster risk reduction is an international document which was launched in 2015 in the by United Nations member states at the World Conference of Disaster Risk Reduction. This framework outlines 7 clear targets and 4 priorities for actions to prevent new and reduce the existing disaster risks. Talking about disaster risk reduction, I'm going to be talking about these 4 priorities and how we can engage the youth and children in these 4 priority areas for reducing the disaster risk. The 4 priorities laid out by the Sendai framework for disaster risk reduction are the first priority is understanding the disaster risk. So many children and youth have a strong attachment to the place, which gives them a heightened sense of their environment. This allows them to provide detailed information about hazards within different contexts of other ideas. For lowering the disaster risk, it is valuable to recognize not all children and youth are the same. For instance, adolescent girls can offer an insight on ideas specific to a particular risk to their safety during and after hazardous events and on their unique needs. For example, for menstrual hygiene management, for their safety from sexual and gender biased violence post disaster and at the time of rehabilitation, etc. To achieve this priority, the authorities, practitioners, and youth actors can engage the children and make sure that they have a few things available to them so that they can be engaged to achieve this priority of the Sendai framework. They can be, it has to be made sure that the youth and children gain knowledge about the localized natural and human-made hazards. This can be done through teaching, curricula, and this curriculum has to be sensitive to their particular age, their gender, the culture they live in, and as well as it has to be disability friendly. They can join and lead localized, inclusive, and age appropriate mapping exercises, which prioritize and act on child and youth ideas for risk informed programming. For talking about the second priority of the Sendai framework, the priority is strengthening disaster risk governance to manage disaster risk. With their knowledge and capacities, children and youth can contribute to disaster risk governance at various levels. They can contribute in developing the village disaster risk reduction plans, and they can also provide perspectives on how to better and meaningfully engage other children and youth in the formal implementation, follow up, and review of the activities assigned. Involving children early in governance not only teaches them the foundations of civic engagement, but it can also build their confidence, capacity, and critical thinking skills, which will be will be later valuable for resilience building. To achieve this priority, we have to make sure that the youth has the knowledge, capacity, and support to meaningfully participate at the national and local DRR strategy planning, implementation, follow up, and review. They have to be engaged, and they should be able to join in the formal and informal, local child and youth centric governing bodies to gain skills and have influence, with specific attention to ensure equitable access to all for participation in leadership opportunities, even for girls and young women. They should be supported to research issues of their own concern to policymakers through qualitative and quantitative approaches, and have their findings valued, not only just neglected and be kept aside just and heard to just for the sake of listening, for actually developing the DRR strategies. They should be able to take part in the formal and informal processes that holds government and non-state actors, including the private sector, accountable in implementing the targets and priorities of the Sendai framework and the Paris Agreement on climate change, including the monitoring and evaluation activities of these particular frameworks and programs. Talking about the third priority of the Sendai framework for DRR, this priority is investing in the disaster reduction for resilience. So long-term investment in disaster risk reduction not only just upholds children's access and rights to safe and resilient social services, it also contributes to reaching and transforming marginalized circumstances of children and youth living in vulnerable situations. For example, children are highly affected by disruptions to their education and healthcare, as we've recently seen in this COVID era in the pandemic world. So this even in during and post disasters, it is seen that there are devastating effects on the full earning potentials of the family members of these children, and they are often pushed to drop out of school, and they usually suffer from malnutrition because of lack of the economy. And also along with this, the violence and sexual activity and sexual faults against the girls and young women, in particular in situation of for example in rehabilitation camps, it increases many folds. So we have to invest early in infrastructure, policies, and strategies that reduce the vulnerability of these particular children and youth, so that first they have to be safeguarded themselves, and then only they can participate in the DRR activity themselves. So we have to first make sure that they are kept safe, so that they can they should be able to help others as well. So we have to invest in these DRR activities prior to the disaster actually happening and occurring. So a formal thought has to be given in prioritizing where investment has to be focused on first. Investing in children and youth also helps in making sure that long-term planning does not only meet the current needs, but also for the needs of the future generations. And it also would make more economic sense that way. To achieve this priority, we have to prioritize hazard proof infrastructure investment. The infrastructure has to be there. Then we have to make sure that water, sanitation, and hygiene systems are in place. And also we have to make some provision for the educational safety and educational resilience for these youth. Because if their education is not safeguarded, then there is a lot more chances of these youth being pushed into a wrong direction, into being misguided. We have to make sure that there is some uh, policy and something there, investment there, so that it can be unfolded. Uh, talking about final and the fourth priority of the Sendai framework, the priority is enhancing disaster preparedness for effective response and to build back better in recovery, rehabilitation, and reconstructions. So evidence shows that when the wider community engages in disaster risk reduction planning, preparation, and response in partnership with government, the rates of mortality, morbidity, and other negative impacts, diseases decreases after hazardous events. Including children and youth at different stages of preparedness reduces the risk as it increases their own capacities and resilience in the short and long term. To achieve this priority, the youth should be provided opportunities to both co-design community and school preparedness plans and also to be actively engaged in post-disaster needs assessment and recovery planning. They should have the knowledge and space to teach others about disaster risk and preparedness, especially through peer-to-peer trainings that are or can be adapted to the child and youth friendly and are both gender as well as culturally responsive. They have to know how to stay safe during a hazardous event or an evacuation, no matter where or who they are. They should have the knowledge on where to go if they are separated from people they know. And this also includes that it should be ensured that all children are able to participate and lead in early warning readiness and safety drills. They should know how to easily and safely access the services they need. This includes the access to food, safe water, medication, sanitation, shelter, sexual and reproductive health information, and products. And they should have knowledge on how to respond to sexual and gender based violence or trafficking risks. They should have the skills to help themselves and friends cope with short and long term trauma and know where to access culturally sensitive and age appropriate wellness support. Many of today's youth and children will grow into adulthood by 2030, and they have been promised a reduced risk from the disasters, curtailed climate change from the Paris Agreement, and transformative bold action on more sustainable and resilient world through sustainable development goals. So, uniting efforts between these three frameworks with full participation from children and youth not only capitalizes on the progress actions that are needed to protect our planet, but it will also help to make the vulnerability reduced and also enhance the resilience of the youth. Today's younger generation are learning about and demanding a vibrant, sustainable future. And now is the time to encourage, teach, support, and empower, and also mobilize and follow with this. So, this is where I will conclude my talk for today. Thank you so much for giving me this great opportunity to be a part of this program. Thank you. Over to you, Nitish.
Thank you, Atisha, for your insightful words. As you mentioned, we need to take multi-sectoral approach to DRR to strengthen the capacities of youth and children. And also, Sendai framework should be a guideline to implement this. Thank you once again. And now we have Mr. Shahbaz Khan, Technical Advisor, Climate Smart Cities, GIZ, to speak on building partnership and collaboration for meaningful participation of children and youth. Professionally, a development practitioner with more than 5 years of professional experience, his key domains are climate change, disaster risk reduction, and humanitarian work. He has worked in 3 different countries with several reputed organizations such as UNICEF, GIZ, and Radar India. Over to you, Mr. Shehbaz.
Thank you so much. I think I'm audible.
Yes.
Yeah, great. Thank you. First of all, I'd like to thank you, UNMGCY, for inviting me for the talk and sharing my experiences. So I think I'm the last presenter today. So I think I have that privilege that I'm not going to talk about what to do, because I heard I heard so many speakers that and they mentioned what to do, how to do. So yeah, I focus more on the implementation part, like what kind of methodologies we should use. We saw like we are trying to activate ensure that participation, but we have achieved a lot, but still we are somehow lacking. So I'll focus on that. So first of all, I'd like to start with that. What is a child participation for me? So child participation for me is to giving voice to the children, to have or that opportunity to express their views, influence decision making, and achieve changes. What kind of methodologies we saw, like we are trying. Let me start with that. So what kind of methodologies we should use very broadly on this topic. Like I'll more talk about the implementation methodologies and how to achieve those. So I'll just keep my overview where I'm talking. Sure that broadly on this topic, like where I'm talking. So our meaningful or collaboration for meaningful participation of children is in 3 different levels. One is like organizational level, like where different organizations, like especially in development sector, there are.
Sorry, sir, I'm disturbing you.
So first of all, I is a child participation for have or that opportunity directly influencing them or yeah, say.
I'm sorry, but
hello.
Your network is very weak. Is it possible if you switch off your video so we have a better, we can hear you better? Thank you.
Yeah, can you?
Yeah. Yes, now it's a little better.
Yeah, I think it is clear. Okay, so it has like different dimension. What I see when it comes to youth participation or building partnership and collaboration for meaningful participation of children and youths, that is at organizational level, like where in development sector, different organizations, they are working specifically for children, like UNICEF, Save the Children, then different IG groups are there in every state. So I see like if there is some kind of collaboration among themselves to have a common strategy to include children or youth. So that kind of intervention is one area where we can work on. And then definitely planning and policy level, which is at national, subnational level, even at international level. We need to focus, especially in India, we are doing those things, but somehow we are lacking in perseverance or persistence for following up those things. Then the third is like among youth groups. So among themselves, like how they are cooperating, how they are engaging within themselves for knowledge sharing, for learning from each other. So those are those 3 dimensions where we should focus. For me, like to improve building partnership and collaboration for meaningful participation. So, and I heard, even we all heard that there are a lot of traditional ways or tools for engaging children and having a positive impact in our society, as well as at program policy level for children, like direct participation planning, even directly engaging students or youths for active for DRR and climate change adaptation and mitigation activities. So I would say those are very traditional and those are definitely effective, but now, you know, like situation is changing, and especially after post-COVID, things have changed very drastically, and engaged direct participation is becoming quite difficult, especially like even I am working on several projects in different parts of India, but then I see those challenges. We can't even engage all for their direct participation. So I think now we have to think about some modern methodologies and tools, like, for example, digital platforms, like digital tools. I think we need to focus more on those kind of solutions for ensuring child participation and their meaningful contributions. So for example, like we can do online survey. And what we saw in past few years, like what Greta Thunberg did, and what is our even Indian activists, climate change activists like Disha Ravi did. So they all did or achieved their goals or through digital platforms, okay, or through digital mediums. So and they got that limelight very quickly and for a positive change. So I think those things we need to focus on more. And when I'm talking about those digital or modern tools, so I think it is also need to think about new methodologies where different organizations, they are working on ensuring child participation, child rights. So I think they also need to modify their methodologies of project implementation designing. So I believe, like based on my past experiences, if we can come up with ideas or methodologies, adapt methodology like design thinking, co-creation, hackathon, even we can introduce concepts like gamification. So I think those will be really helpful for engaging children and make our plan policies very inclusive. Like, for example, like I gave example of design thinking. So I'll give share one of my experience from past project, that how we ensured participation of children and how it also advocated their like planning process at national or at least at city level. So last year we are implementing a project called ICT-based climate change adaptation in cities. So that was like focusing on urban flooding issue due to climate change in Bhubaneswar. And we started implementing a project and we adapted design thinking methodology. So as many of you might be aware of design thinking methodology, which is focusing on like empathy research, which starts with empathy research. Like it starts with empathy research where they go and interact with the direct beneficiary. So and direct beneficiary as well as users. So we thought like we'll ensure that children are there. So we definitely categorically included children, and we understood we researched their problem, how it is impacting them, what they can do, what they think, how to solve those challenges. So we gathered those information. We then bring them on same table with government officials, other citizens groups, and then we design solution for urban flooding, like how to solve that problem. Then we developed a tool that was a digital tool, and then we tested with them like through children. We also included, like in that project, we also included concept like gamification to ensure that children, whenever they're participating for in that kind of or activity, are enjoying those. It should not be like very boring or depressing. We're talking about children, so we have to think them. So that is the included gamification concept. And that based on those tools, we got like really, as well as those users, even children, and they co-created a park or open space in Bhubaneswar. So, like they are trying to create, so that's the concept. And like really, and so they were very happy. So in Bhubaneswar, like project planning, and they co-created a, so that's what I felt like they include them. So, and they included children and they asked them to design that park, and they did it. And if someone is just plucking any flower or making or posting a poster on a wall, so they are coming and they are fighting for their thing, their city, their open space. So they are saying that we made it and you should not be doing this. So this is, I feel like this kind of methodologies we should right now consider, rather than only considering traditional methodologies, and design our programs accordingly. So I think we can ensure child participation very quickly and very effectively, and it will definitely create a good their ownership among projects, and I think we'll achieve really good goals, or achieve our goals quite effectively and efficiently. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Shabazz, for your personal sharing and how you implement projects involving children. And I think giving opportunity to children in a policy making, decision making, and implementation is very essential to build a resilience at very local level. Thank you once again. We are running a short of time, but also right now I like to invite everyone. We are sure that you would also like to present your viewpoints on the topic. So now is the time. The platform is open for all. You may come forward and keep your views, perspective, and suggestion in front of the audience. I hope you all have questions with you, and just raise your hand. We will unmute you from here, and you speak not more than 1 minute. So like we will give a chance to as many people as possible. Thank you. Okay. Yeah, Tanya, go ahead. Please introduce yourself. And
Hi, my name is Tanya. I absolutely enjoy being here on a Saturday morning and hearing all of your thoughts. I'm the program director of Public Landscape Urbanism Studio, which recently started in Chennai. And our aim is to create collaborative spaces with public inputs, at the same time create water sustainable landscape in Chennai, which as it was pointed out rightly by Sheetal, it has been facing droughts and floods back to back, which is a situation that is a man-made situation. So I think one of the critical ideas which comes to my mind, where not just the youth but general community can be, pulled in to be more active citizens in this process, is through creating a network of public open spaces, which is something that we're working to accomplish with the Corporation of Chennai, hopefully. By doing this, we are kind of defining parks and open spaces as critical infrastructure, so that not just funding, but also the value that is imposed on these, urban commons and open spaces are not just recreational, but we see it as a larger ecological and, sustainable mechanism where you can demonstrate, say, for example, creating a biosphere and maybe including children to come and, take a nearby school to like partner with you on maintenance and maybe teach them that what watershed management looks like in the most, like everyday spaces like your neighborhood park. And this creates opportunities to not just educate, but also involve the local communities and youth and elderly and multi-generational interactions that are possible. And yeah, I think that's my 2 cents on this topic. And I think public spaces are varied in different cities, so it gives a very local, it's a very hyper localized solution, and that's something that the SDG this year is also concentrating on. So yeah.
okay, thank you, Danya. Now I question Ms. Sonu.
Yeah, hi. My name is Sonu. I'm from Kerala. I'm an architect urban planner by profession, and just recently, like last day, I graduated from this fellowship hosted by DRR, which is a climate school based in the US on climate action. So I would just quickly, share my reflection on the power given to the local self-government body in Kerala in terms of the resilience and climate governance. Like most of the Indian states, they follow a top-bottom approach, where in Kerala it's the other way. Like we kind of follow a bottom-top approach, and it's so important for the local self-government. I mean, power should be given to the local self-government body. Once you give the decision-making power to this LSGs, then your mitigation and adaptation measures would automatically become so region specific, and essentially you could implement your traditional knowledge practices, or what we call nature-based solutions now. So that way it's easier for us to channelize the allocated fund efficiently, as per the requirement, rather than generalizing all the issues and then applying it without making it very inefficient at times. So I feel the capacity and knowledge of the local body is what we should be utilizing at this point. And Kerala has we started working on LAPCC, local adaptation plan for climate change already, which I think is a best practice which other states of India could also adopt. So yeah.
Thank you, Ms. Sonu. Now I invite Mr. Wakar.
Can you hear me?
Now, yes.
Hello.
Yes.
Okay. So, not taking much of the time. So, I am Waqarul Islam. I'm from Bihar State Disaster Management Authority. So, one of the key points that I would like to put forward is that I was asked what action should our government and local bodies take to better prepare for climate crisis and disaster. So, since I'm working in the sector, I believe that keeping track of the policies which are being implemented would go a long way into ensuring what works and what doesn't work. Because we are very good at, there are lots of policies which are being implemented, lots of campaign going around. But the problem is we are not very good at keeping track of the results. So if we keep track of what's happening, it would very much help in research and development and further giving us the insight as to what would work and what would not work in future implementation. So I believe I've taken my time. So that's what I wanted to go for. Thank you.
Thank you, Wakar. Now I invite Vedanti.
So hello everyone, I'm Vedanti. I'm a 12th grade commerce student and I'm a part of the Climate Reality project as the Climate Reality leader. And for that, we advocate climate change through our presentations to the different sectors of the society. And I would like to answer the question that we were asked, that according to me, what government bodies and government and local bodies should be doing about the climate crisis and DRR. So as we all know, the climate crisis that we are all taking actions for has already begun. And now the only thing that is in our hands is to not let these changes become irreversible. So I think the immediate changes in the system by government are must, but with that, we also need to start taking mitigation measures at the same time. Like for now, I live in Mumbai. So like the biggest risk that this city will face is the sea level rise. And so and it will have huge impact on the health and infrastructure sector of the city. So I think the mitigation measures like conservation and replantation of mangroves should be taken at the earliest. And the other problems that are like plastic and plastic waste management and air pollution are the biggest problems in the city. And the population of Mumbai is now more than 20 million, and the city is overflowing with waste. And for that, BMC launched a scheme in 2019 of August 2019 about giving property tax rebate for segregation and management of waste at their own. So, but it hasn't, like, what I noticed that through my presentations that people are not aware about it that much, and that West crisis is also adding more problem to the air pollution. Like now Mumbai always stands next to the Delhi in the air quality index. And so I think what is needed is to we need to follow the 3 A's, that is action, awareness and adaptation. So that if plastic ban is must right now, it might cause a problem in the plastic industry, like people might lose their jobs. So government also need to focus on that part, that like how can we take this sustainably, how can we develop sustainably. Like Matrika ma'am said, the concept of green economy, that is, I think we need that is the need of time. Thank you.
Thank you. I saw some hands. Ms. Nithri Kalta.
A very good afternoon to all. My name is Nithri
is Nidhi and I am program coordinator at DRR. DRR is a humanitarian organization working towards resilience and sustainability in the Himalayan region of India. So I would like to highlight as a youth what action can be taken to build resilient community at the local level. So as we see that youth can play a crucial role in creating task force of volunteers at community level. So when these forces will be created, so these volunteers further can advocate on DRR through school, colleges, and universities. So achieving the 2030 SDGs agenda, so through these volunteer tasks, what can be done that they can have better participation and have a ownership and solidarity. So provide opportunity for the youth in such a way so that they can even develop their own capacities and build their confidence and enhance the employability for themselves also. So I think that youth is the most important part of the community. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and thank you, everyone.
I would like to say something.
I'm really sorry. We should go
No issue,
ahead
no issue. Okay.
because we are already running late. Now, I like to invite Mr. Anish Shrestha, Regional Focal Point Asia Pacific for DRR Working Group, to tell us more about UNMDCY and SAARC Youth Platform. Anish Shrestha is an indigenous youth advocate from Nepal. He is very actively engaged in representing indigenous peoples and youth voices for more than 8 years. He is presently working as Executive Director of the AD Foundation and Partnership Coordinator of SAARC Youth Platform. Over to you, Mr. Anish.
Thank you very much, Nitish. I'm really glad and honored to be here today, and so much pleased to see such a great voices coming from our young peoples and all our industry experts and leaders, doing a amazing job and sharing their views. Definitely, I think we are midst of this crisis all together, because I think with now at the present moment we see more than what we were expecting. It's double or triple kind of crisis coming in our face because the pandemic is on rise. Then climate is changing, burning, and then biodiversity is declining in the era that we are living now. And it's never expected that we had this kind of crisis coming in, and people are still not serious. So this goes to us really grave concern. I think we need to find, as we were doing this with lot of compassion, to work and to deliver a sustainable and resilient planet for all. And let me begin with introducing some facts about the major group for children and youth. So me, Nitesh, and my colleague, Jacqueline, we are currently engaged as one of the three of the regional focal point on disaster risk reduction and disaster risk reduction working group, which we also call Sendai Stakeholders Children and Youth Group in Major Group for Children and Youth. So Major Group of Children and Youth is a representative organ or the representative body mandated by the UN General Assembly in 1992. As established under the UN Charter to look after the children and youth engagement, the stakeholder engagement in the United Nations processes on other process and procedure concerning young peoples, and linking to the UN relevant mechanism or the processes existing in different platforms. So this is one of the network of the young peoples, individual and organization both coming in one place and working, interacting, and engaging in those important processes for the future and for the representation and advocacy of the young people's issues. So UNMGCI has a lot of different working group engagement mechanisms, and platforms which are directed to the Major Group for Children and Youth with the different constituencies existing and performing their own independent work and in line with their thematic focus, interest, and engagement, such like our DRR, which directly feeds off to the different global and regional platforms. And as we are in the Asia Pacific, it's related and feeding to the geographication area of the UN staff, which is United Nations Economic and Social Commission for the Asia and Pacific, our regional body of the United Nations in the Asia Pacific. And that goes to our regional engagement mechanism, which is organized each 2 years as the Asia Pacific Ministerial Conference on Disaster Risk Reduction, which is a regional platform on the disaster risk reduction, and other areas also UNMGCY is currently very actively engaged. Would I like to mention that I think would be very fruitful for the audience and the participants today is the upcoming lot of important policy engagements this year, particularly the UN Food System Summit, with the UN Major Group for Children and Youth also coordinating as the focus group for UN Food System Summit, which will be taking place in the September, most likely in the hybrid way in the New York as one of the high-level General Assembly meeting convened by the Secretary General of the United Nations, Mr. Antonio Guterres. And then other is the YONGO, which we call the Youth NGOs networks, which feed up to the work of the UNFCCC, United Nations Framework Convention on the Climate Change, and engaging actively and representing the youth voices in the annual conference of the parties, which helps periodically with the mandate of discussing and deciding on the matters relevant to the climate crisis and acting on the climate action with the inline of the existing policies at the present moment, the Paris Climate Agreement, Paris Climate Accord, which is also very relevant and coherent policy document in line with also a Sendai framework for disaster risk reduction. And also, I think on this, I already mentioned that we have the different platforms or the regional bodies, particularly in the Asia Pacific. We talk about as we, one of the focal points on the DRR, and then the whole of other focal points that's convened under the MGCY banner. We act as a whole group, as a Asia Pacific Youth Caucus, APYC, which is also the convening body of and the coordinating body of the focal points and thematic engagements of the young peoples in the region. And with that in the topmost on the regional side, and also our specifically focusing or talking about our South Asia region, we have the SAARC Youth Platform, which also functions in the similar way, but in the sub-regional context with all the element of the different policy and other young people's actions feeding and representing in the different UN platforms. Also the Asia Pacific Interagency Network on the youth engagement, youth development, of the represented body of all the UN organs and agencies working on or delivering on the youth programs together. So I think this much from my end, and thank you once again for the platform, Nitesh, and everyone for joining us. Really was a pleasure, and a lot of knowledge and experience I think we shared today. We will develop this as a youth call for action, the country, and then also feeding to the sub-regional or the South Asia regional dialogue that we will convene in the coming days, and the broader Asia Pacific platform, the youth platform, which we envision for the April, and will be released as a youth call for action regional, and that will be submitted to the upcoming APMC DRR. So looking forward to more insights and engaging and working together. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Anish, for the detailed information on UNMGCY and SAARC Youth Platform. I invite all of you to join any group and in which you are working. UNMGCY and SAARC Youth Platform both have different groups. So you are working in a climate change, DRR, peace building, any group. If you are interested, do join us. We will be happy to connect with you. And now we have with us today Dr. Sushma Guleria, Assistant Professor, National Institute of Disaster Management. a PhD in disaster management. She has been associated with NIDM since 2006. She is also the recipient of the World Bank's Young Researchers Grant Award for Disaster Risk Reduction for the year 2005-2006. Currently, she looks after the Center for Climate Resilience and Environment and Center for Water and Land DRR. Ma'am, I cordially invite you to give the concluding remark.
Thank you so much, Nitish. I hope I'm audible enough.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. And it was a pleasure listening to such wonderful thoughts, felt, young again. Just quickly, 2 points. If you look at youth, they have two aspects to it. One is youth as the capacity, and the other side of the coin would be youth as the vulnerable section. So, you have ample statistics, ample evidences to show that they are our capacities, and parallelly, they're equally vulnerable. When it comes to youth, tapping youth as capacities, definitely you have, even as part of the Disaster Management Act, or be it the National Disaster Management Policy of 2009, a lot of you can read. You do have, legal mandates and bindings wherein you can utilize their capacities in different aspects. Of course, what I would suggest is to segregate it into two aspects. It could be DRR 1 and the management part of it, the relief oriented, the DRM, the other side of it. You also have parallelly the climate concerns, which are inclusive, integrated. That's something we've been harping about since a long time. So that's the second part to it. The vulnerable part of it, there are statistics which prove that, of course, we have the youth as one of our major, population chunk. But equally, statistics reveal that between 10 to 29 years of youngest, that age group is vulnerable and prone to committing suicides. So that's alarming. And out of it, disasters are one events, where a lot of young men, they tend to, commit suicides and lose their lives. So that's the vulnerable part of it. So not to forget that if you are going to harness, channelize their energy, channelize their, that zeal to work and contribute for better preparedness or better DRR and climate initiatives, you parallelly need to also work towards handholding them, giving them the right direction and guidance, which calls in for better psychosocial care and counseling support as well. Both the areas, be it the DRR dream or also the climate initiatives, they will take time to, be grasped, and also to, show you some outputs or results. And which means that, for both of them, you need a lot of perseverance, rightly as was said by my friend from Sikkim. So patience is something that, this requires. And when it comes to youth, this is something that I feel, our generation lacks. So we are always in that eagerness to, quickly have results and benefits. So that is something which will call in for more trainings, more participation, more learning by doing, so that they realize that these are things that take time to bear results. I'll conclude by just stating that the 15th Finance Commission, as part of the government of India, has renamed the funding mechanism which is provided for initiatives in DRR. So the national funds are now called the National Disaster Risk Management Funds, and the state fundings are called the State Disaster Risk Management Fund. And the most important funding component from the state fundings is the increase in the funding allotment from 5% to 10% for capacity building. So yeah, a lot of you have been advocating and talking about the local level governance, and rightly said, that is where you can actually bring in, rope in the right volunteers, the right trained young professionals, budding professionals, or established professionals, and bring implementable changes. And for that, you do have, now sufficient, realizing the importance of, what training and capacity building would do. So those fundings have been increased to 10%. Form subgroups. that can be of interest. You can have subgroups for preparedness. You can have subgroups for environmental concerns, for climate initiatives. Share your small ideas, share the different informations, workable, smaller, replicable models that we have. There's a dearth of, such written documented stuff. So I would encourage a lot of youth to even take up documentation studies. We have very less of documented evidences which can be replicated and utilized in other places. So thank you once again. My best wishes to the organizers, and thank you for having me. Have a good day.
Thank you, ma'am, for your wonderful insights. We are going to implement your suggestions, especially creating a subgroups and doing the documentation studies. Okay, so we have come to the end of the event. We are grateful to have you all here today for this virtual youth forum on disaster risk reduction and climate crisis 2021. I express my gratitude to all the speakers and youth professionals for sharing their rich and practical experience with us all. I thank all the participants for their active involvement during the program. I would also like to thank all the organizers and supporters of the event for their proactive support for the success of this event. Climate Reality Project India, SARC Youth Platform, Doers, and Youth for Resilient India. Once again, I thank you all. Before we end this program, I also request, if you're interested, please put on your camera. We will take a group photo. Thank you. Nice to see all of you.
Thank you, Nitish. Bye-bye. Be safe.
Sure.
Thank you, Nitish. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Nitish. Thank you,
Thank
everyone.
you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Bye-bye. See you soon.
Yeah.
Back.
Nice to have you.
Thank you. Thank you, Sheetal, for giving us your platform also.
Thank you, Nitish. Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye. See you soon.